back with us on the SportsMax Zone. Cricket is what we're talking about now because on Monday, the West Indies registered a 10-wicket win over Bangladesh in the second test at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground in St. Lucia, completing a 2-0 series win. The victory moved the Windies to 6th in the World Test Championship table, ahead of England, New Zealand and Bangladesh. Monday's win was the Windies' 4th in their last 7 tests at home, and they've been beaten in just one of their last 5 home series. The question we had started asking and answering last week: are the Windies improving in the test arena? And to help us with this is Roland Butcher, the man out of Barbados. Roland, we had started. Well, first of all, very good to have you here. Good afternoon to you. Welcome.
Yeah, George, great pleasure to be here.
Good. We had asked this question last week when we were talking to Fazir on analysing one day's play. I think it was in the first test, and it wasn't a substantive discussion, but his flat answer was no, because there wasn't enough life in the key areas from the West Indies to suggest that they've improved, especially under the Brathwaite captaincy, or since that time, Brathwaite, of course, taking charge in December 2020. So we put that question to you, based on what you've seen from the West Indies in recent time, what they've done overseas and what they've done at home, and if you make your baseline be the December 2020 appointment of Craig Brathwaite, have the Windies improved in the test arena?
Well, what I would say, George, is that they definitely have improved, because they're now beating sides, albeit the weaker sides, but you may remember not too long ago, we weren't beating the weaker sides. So the fact that we are now winning test matches suggests that the team definitely improving, and we're seeing some good individual performances as well. So I would say it's a team on the rise. Obviously, they've still got a long way to go, but they have definitely improved.
All right, so that's a general statement. If you look at the different departments of the team, and maybe even attitude you'll point to, where do you see the improvement happening? Is that improvement in increments, or are you seeing substantial movement forward?
Well, I see the major improvements, I think, really coming out from the bowling department. You may have noticed in this last test match, West Indies had a four-prong pace attack, and Kyle Mears as the fifth bowler didn't really need to use a spinner. So I think the development of people like Azari Joseph, certainly the last few months, has shown lots of improvement. You've now got Anderson Phillips on the horizon. You've got Kimar Roach still doing his business, Searles as well. So I think the bowling department is doing extremely well. And in patches, you know, the batting led by Craig Brathwaite, they're also doing quite well.
Roland, Kimar Roach told the media probably a week and a half or 2 ago that he thinks his stint in the English County Championship last season helped him. Now, he's a very experienced bowler, and he would have improved over a decade of playing international cricket. But he is still suggesting that his stint in England sort of helped to fine-tune some of the tools he has, and suggested that it would be a good thing for some of our players if they can play English county cricket, which you grew up on before you represented England. Do you think Kimar Roach has a point? And we've seen others going on English stints as well. Could this be part of a development plan for the West Indies team?
Listen, I think Kimar Roach is spot on. I mean, the success of the West Indies bowlers in the past was based on that. You've only got to look back as far as Garner, Roberts, Holding, Croft, Marshall. All of those guys honed their skills in England and became world-class bowlers. They were good bowlers to start before that, but they became world-class bowlers because of their exposure in England. Roach is absolutely right. The West Indies should be aiming to get certainly all their fast bowlers in England when they can, to certainly hone their skills. The fact that they're playing county cricket, which means that you're playing all day, all week, sometimes on pretty flat wickets, you know, you've got to learn your craft. And that's what Kimar Roach has learned over the years. I mean, he's now a much better bowler than perhaps when he was a terrier fast bowler, because he bowls now with a lot of intelligence, and he's a typical English type bowler at the moment.
Yeah, Craig Brathwaite also had a short stint in England, Roland, playing for Yorkshire, I think it was. He wasn't there for very long, but could it be that his game has also stepped up a notch, having experienced some of the English county action?
Well, I think with Craig Brathwaite, he didn't really have a long stint in England. Yeah. Obviously, he didn't have a successful stint with Gloucestershire. But at the same time, I think it would have assisted him. In terms of Craig Brathwaite's own game, we've known what Craig Brathwaite has been able to do even before he came to England. It's just that he lost his way for a little while. It seems that he's got his way back now and he's batting quite well. Always hard to dislodge. But, his game certainly has improved or has gone back to the standard that he set much earlier in his career.
Yeah. One of the issues that we have long discussed about West Indies cricket is that issue, Roland, of consistency. And a lot of reference is being made now of them winning 7 of their last 8 home test matches and winning back-to-back test series for the first time in so many years. Is part of the improvement that you speak of consistency in their game?
Yes, I mean, listen, if you're not consistent, then you're certainly not going to win matches. If you go back as far as the tour to Bangladesh, really, that's where it all started. They got some results there that actually won the series. And if you move forward from there, you'll notice that their performances and series have improved in every series. So, that is a good thing. Consistency has always been a bit of a problem over the last 15, 20 years for West Indies as a team. They're starting to get some consistency in the sides. They're not getting beaten as often. So the first thing you've got to do is really stop yourself from getting beaten and then win matches. They're doing that. They're not the finished product by any means because they still have to play the big teams and play the big teams away from home as well. But I'm seeing steady improvement that if they continue, then they'll be able to give the big teams a run for their money initially and hopefully in time be able to beat them as well.
Your assessment, Roland, of Phil Simmons as a coach. He's not having a lot of success with the white ball team, but a few experts have pointed out that he has hit a tone with these red ball cricketers in Test cricket that it appears as if he's making some inroads in trying to get some more steadiness out of the players and new players coming in having the ability to embrace the challenge of international cricket. With some degree of success.
Well, that is true. I mean, listen, our white ball cricket is not very good right across the region, and we know that. Hence, the players that we have playing in white ball cricket in international leagues or the players who were the better players before, the older players. We haven't got a lot of young players coming through in the white ball game. You may have to look as far back as when the regional T20 tournament stopped and was taken over by the CPL. Now, that has stopped a lot of people getting the exposure and the experience at T20 cricket. There is no other T20 cricket apart from the CPL. So that has to be a problem for our white ball game. The two games are really well connected. The 50 over and the T20 are pretty well connected. And if our players don't get the exposure, then they will not be as good. But I think going forward, he's done well with the test team. He's now got a fairly settled outfit. Most times they can choose the same players test after test. So that's got to be a good thing. They're not chopping and changing. The white ball game is something we really need to look at because I don't think we're particularly good at it. The T20 is a surprise in terms of how bad we are at the T20 because, as you know, that was our game in the white ball format. But we have lost our way there, and I think a lot has to be done on a regional basis to ensure that we get back to the level because T20 cricket is here to stay, and now obviously they're looking at T10 cricket. So the shorter form of the game has been, for the last 10 years or so, a very, very important part of world cricket, and that has brought in the money that runs the rest of the game. So we've got to come to the party and get a seat at that table.
Roland, the chief selector, Desmond Haynes, words attributed to him that he believes that there's too much caution in the approach of the batsmen at the test level. And he says, look, this caution is influenced by a failure to be dropped. He wants to see batsmen out there who are bold, who want to play a long innings, but also while being out there for long, take the initiative to the fielding team, disrupt bowling plans, and impose themselves on the game. Does he have an argument there?
he has an argument there. I think players in the past have just done enough to stay in the team. And it becomes a very selfish game then, because all you're really interested in is doing well personally so that you play the next game. Now, that culture really has to be changed. And it has to be one where, you're playing for the team and you're playing to win. Now, I'm in England at the moment, and all the talk here is that Brendan McCullum, he has changed the whole thinking of the England side into one of all-out aggression, all-out attack, back yourself, and just express yourself. That's what England is doing at the moment. Obviously, they've still got a long way to go, but on the evidence of what you're seeing against New Zealand in these 3 matches, it suggests that perhaps they have been on a good path. So the likes of Johnny Bairstow and others have reveled in this new thinking, because they feel, don't worry about getting dropped, just go out and play with freedom.
Well, at the heart of that, at the root of that rather, a pun intended, Joe root, at the root of that is a haphazard approach to selection in the past, Roland, you would agree, where the selections made by the men in charge of picking players sometimes defies logic, and a player who is kept on, there's no logical reason why they're kept on, and a player who's dispensed with, there's no logical reason why the selectors drop that player. So isn't it a legitimate reason, based on the historical selection process used by the men in charge of that aspect of West Indies cricket, for the players to believe that, I have to do this a certain way, or I may get dropped in a way that is not logical?
Well, that may be a case, but at the same time, you have to perform. I think what has happened over a period of time in West Indies cricket, that the people in the team really didn't have much competition outside of that. There was nobody scoring freely or getting wickets on a regular basis to put pressure on them. So really, they didn't have to do a great deal to stay in the side. So they just did enough. And really, what you want is competition outside of that first 11. Now, if there's competition outside of that first 11, what it will do is it will drive you to improve your performance. I think that's starting to happen now. There are people waiting in the wings to get into the side. And the people in possession, as they say, possession is 9/10 of the law. They're going to ensure that they want to stay there. That's what's happening right now.
Roland, good talking to you as usual. Enjoy the summer in Britain. I don't know if you're a horse racing man, but don't waste the summer, man. Don't waste the sunshine. Go on down to glorious Goodwood and getting some good horse racing while you're over there.
George, I'm not really a racing man. I watch 2 races a year, the Grand National and the Derby, but I'm certainly getting in plenty of cricket.
Excellent, sir. All right, all the best to you.
Great pleasure.
Good. As we go to the break, here's the first question for a chance to win a pair of tickets for the Jamaica Premier League semi-final on Wednesday, the semi-finals, the return leg semi-finals. Who scored Harbourview's goal in the 80th minute against Waterhouse on Sunday in the first leg of the semi-finals? Who scored Harbourview's goal in the win against Waterhouse in that first leg semi-final on Sunday? Remember, all answers must be submitted with the question number and participant's name to the Zone WhatsApp number 876-564-7661. That's 876-564-7661. Thank you for watching SportsMax on YouTube. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and click the notification bell to stay informed.